Hi, guys. I'm going to get into the live stream here. I wanted to do a little bit of Q&A because there was quite a few questions over the past, even the past month, really, when you think about it. A lot of people have been asking some questions that I feel I've answered numerous times in the past, but I think it would be good to pull everything together, try and get these questions answered, and let you know where things are, and just try and clarify a few questions for people out there. So I've prepared a couple questions that I know people have been asking sometimes over and over again. I wanted to throw them out and then figured I'd do it as a live stream just to give you a chance to ask any questions if you have any. I don't imagine there will be a lot of people watching, but who cares? If there's one or two watching, that'll be great. So I'm going to try and post maybe that won't work. And my email, harmony, VAWT @gmail.com. Okay. Hi, Michigan. How's it going? All right. So first big question I get. I keep getting this from people of all kinds. It's like people don't quite get it. They think that the white model that I have that's 4 feet tall and 4 feet wide when it's unfurled is going to be the final size and the final configuration. No, this is a prototype. The cage that I've built around Harmony is just to allow me to get it inside and outside easily. It's to allow me to put it up on wheels and transport it, move it from one place to another so that I can maybe take it to a wind tunnel facility or maybe take it to a parking lot for some testing or across the street to the neighbor's house for some testing. It's a prototype, and its purpose is to allow me to get data, meaningful data, to give us an idea of the performance of Harmony, of my design. So this design is patent pending, and the whole idea here is you need a starting point. You need a place to say, this is what it can produce in this given wind speed. And that's what the purpose of this prototype behind the camera there is for. So it's nothing more than a prototype. It's not the final size that Harmony is going to be. It's absolutely not the final materials that Harmony is going to be. I've seen people saying, oh, that would never hold up to winds over here in the western US, or that would never hold up to winds here in Alaska. Guys, I don't know. It's almost infuriating sometimes, these questions. Maybe people just watch one video and then they think that's it. I've posted like 50 videos. So we will make Harmony out of possibly 5 or 10 different materials, depending on the location you are and where it's economical to do so. If we see there's a big market for it in cold weather climates, yeah, we're going to make those particular units out of aluminum or something that can hold up to the cold. And we're going to add some resistive heating into it around the gearing and things like that so that it can take care of ice up issues. But those are engineering problems we would grow into. We wouldn't just, boom, out of the box, have it in 20 different locations around the globe, able to handle all different kinds of weather conditions and temperatures that you throw at it. No, you start small, you start organic, and you grow from there. So where do you start with something like this? A prototype that's made out of acrylic, chemically welded together. That's what Harmony is. It's got a cage around it so I can transport it, and I can take it outside and do testing, or I can take it to a wind tunnel facility, and I can do testing on it. That's it. This is my starting point. It's in no way the final configuration that Harmony is going to be in. I don't want to have a cage around the final product. The final product might have it might have an 8-inch thick support tube or column coming up from the generator, and then inside of that will be a nice maybe 2-inch drive shaft or something, so that it's all supported from the base securely from the ground, and then Harmony itself will be able to withstand the deflection from the wind and everything. But you don't need guy wires or anything ugly coming off of it. That would be my hope. If engineering proves that we can't do that economically, then we'll look at putting a topper hat on it and using guy wires to help secure the top end. These are questions that are down the road. They're questions that I can't answer yet, nor would I want to invest the time in exploring, because right now the main question is, how does Harmony perform in given wind speeds? That's the burning question that I have and that each of you should have. How well will it perform? What is it going to put out as far as, efficiency? Because really what it comes down to is, how efficient is it in a given wind speed? You can always scale up or scale down appropriately once we have those numbers. All right, let me take a quick break here. Have you done any new effect measurements? Really interested in the power. Okay, Peter, I'm working on it. I'm going to get to that stuff in a second. I'm waiting on some pieces and parts. Right now I have a charge controller. I ordered the key. It's on a slow boat from China. I was supposed to get it on the 8th. Now it's saying anywhere from the 8th to the 3rd, or I was supposed to get it on the 7th. Now it's saying anywhere from the 8th to the 13th. Supposedly, if I don't get it by the 13th, I've ordered it through Amazon, then they can refund my money. And it seems a little weird to me, but I guess I get to keep the key when it does finally arrive. I've got 2 working generators now. The original white generator that I had in a video way far back is working now. I've got that together with the help of a friend. We actually opened it up, cleaned everything out, made sure it was all good, then reassembled the thing. I'm working on building the mounting for that generator, so I'll have 2 different generators that I can test. I still just have the one charge controller, but I'm looking at getting another charge controller. And believe it or not, even after I have all this stuff together, I've still got to find a facility or some way to test this properly, whether that is a wind tunnel and renting time at, a university like Penn State University's wind tunnel, or even a guy down in the next town over. He has an airboat that if we can put this thing out in the driveway, put it maybe 20, 30 feet away from Harmony and crank it up, maybe we can do some limited testing there with, directed air speeds, 10 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour, 15 mile per hour wind speeds. Anything at this point would be great. Because when I take it across the street, even though the winds are supposed to be good and 20-mile-an-hour gusts, yeah, that's 20-mile-an-hour gusts, 25, 30 feet up in the air. Down at ground level, especially where we have the testing across the street, the ground is dropping. And I never really thought about this, but a friend of mine at work explained it to me. He said, where you have the ground dropping away, the wind is actually expanding. So it's slowing down as it's going over top of land that's dropping in elevation, where if you're at the top of a hill, the wind coming across there is being compressed. So it's actually going faster at the top of the hill. I'm in the opposite. So when I'm over there, and it's, like 2 weeks ago when I had those 2 friends helping me, we had really, really good winds, but it was up high. Down on the ground, we had like 3 and 4 meter per second winds. It was terrible. It wasn't even worth being out there. So I've got to find a better location to get my wind speed testing. Until I have the pieces and parts in place with a generator, with a charge controller, and I know that I'm getting reasonably good numbers for the crazy wind speeds that I have on the ground, then I can finally say, okay, I think that Harmony is dialed in enough that I could take it to the next step and try and do so. I'm not sure I would go right away and jump into wind tunnel testing and pay whatever crazy prices for a wind tunnel rental would be, but maybe we could go somewhere that, like, the guy I heard about with the airboat down in the next town over or something, and we could go to that stage and see, all right, now let's try and get some more consistent winds and see what our numbers would be like there. Michigan, I'm not even going to entertain whether it would or wouldn't work horizontally. Of course, you turn it sideways, you would have to put it like on a skyscraper sideways, though. I mean, to turn it sideways, you totally negate the effects of harmony. I know you asked that in another video. Yes, it would certainly work sideways, but then you've constantly got to turn it to face the wind, which negates all of the benefits of a vertical, well, not all, but many of the benefits of a vertical axis wind turbine. So I'm not looking to turn it sideways. If someone wants to, lease the technology or pay a commission from the patents or the word's escaping me right now, but a royalty to try it in a different configuration, sure, that's fine. But I'm not going to pursue that. I'm going to be pursuing doing residential size and then like recreational size, boating and RV size, vertical axis wind turbine units, pretty much in the configuration you see here with Harmony. Hello, Athi Soto. Well, Peter, thank you. I really appreciate that you have been following from the beginning. All right, so back to the questions. Again, this configuration right behind the camera is not the full size unit or the final size unit for a residential. It's just a starting point. It was a size that I felt I could handle moving in and out of my shop or taking in the back of my pickup truck to a location or to a wind tunnel facility. It wasn't too overly large, and it also wasn't too small that I couldn't buy a proper generator and charge controller to couple to it. I needed it big enough that coupling a normal charge controller and generator to it would produce usable power, that we could get measurements and we could get efficiency measurements off of it. So I needed to start with a size I picked 4 feet tall, and when it's open fully, 4 feet wide as my starting point. In the end, maybe Harmony is going to have 5 segments to it, instead of just 4 blade pairs. Maybe it'll have 5, maybe it'll have 6, who knows? I needed a starting point. So that's what this prototype represents. The cage around it, again, it's just a means of transportation. The goofy crap on the bottom where I've got the little drill held sideways with a C-clamp, no, that stuff's all going to be permanent mounted and secured in weatherproof containment, and it'll have weatherproof bearings on it, and it'll be able to withstand the weather. This I can't keep outside. It's got exposed electronics, exposed all kinds of crap. It's just a means for me to get my data. That's all this prototype is. Everyone that watches the video, I see people saying, oh my God, that would never hold up, or that would never do this. It's a prototype. I wouldn't expect it to. I would never want to put this prototype outside for even a week because it would ruin it. So the final one is certainly going to have slip rings or something like that, transferring power up to the small DC servo motor that's going to open and close Harmony and do the furling. That's all going to be controlled by a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino unit that is going to be optimizing for the given wind conditions and changing the furling state in real time as needed. The output and the performance that we get from this unit will then tell us how big or how small we need to go for like a residential unit or for the recreational units. And it's a starting point. That's it. I imagine that these scoops would be made out of reclaimed plastic from things like the Precious Plastics Project, or where they're pulling landfill plastics out of the ground or ocean plastic out of the oceans, grinding it up, and then maybe we can have a stream of incoming waste materials coming to us. We'll pay those, developing countries and the people that are sending us that stuff a fair wage for that work that they did to send us those materials. And in the end, we're going to get these beautiful multicolored scoops made out of recycled plastics that you're not only pulling waste plastics out of the environment to make the scoops for Harmony, but you're making durable, recyclable scoops for a vertical axis wind turbine. I mean, I can't think of many other things that are more green than that. You're using recycled plastics and pulling them out of the environment to build something that is making renewable energy. Come on, guys. If that's not cool, if that doesn't deserve to go viral, I don't know what does. We're all too busy watching stupid cat videos and videos of congressmen, doing stupid crap. We need to pull our heads out of our rear ends and start investing in stuff like this that can actually make a difference and change our world. And I'm not saying that this is going to. I'm just saying stuff like this. If Harmony is in the end not going to be as efficient as I hope, so be it. I'm not going to sit there and lie. I'm not going to cloud the results or obfuscate anything. I'm going to tell it like it is, as I've done for 25 years in my clean energy testing and all of the things that I've done with OU Power and so forth. I don't lie about my results. I don't hide things. But this project has taken a long time. It's been like 18 months since I started building it because I'm doing it on a shoestring budget. I'm doing it with what little time I have. I still do have a full-time day job that I have to go to pay the bills. So I come home at night, I get my dirty old clothes on, and I come down here and I start welding, I start building, and I start working on the projects. So I'm sorry if it's taken a long time. I'm sorry if I can't get you the results that you want to see instantly, right now, right now, right now. Everyone wants things immediately. It's frustrating because we're in a society where we pick up that little phone and instantly the answer's right there. Well, I don't have those answers just yet. I'm getting there. I'm getting to the point where we're finally getting the answers with Harmony, or I'm about to get the answers, but I don't have them yet. Some investment money would be great. It'd be awesome if I got some, millionaire somewhere who was excited about this and said, you know what, that's really cool what you're doing. I want to help you out. I'd quit my job tomorrow if I had some substantial funding behind me that I could do this full time. And then, yeah, results would start coming in on a weekly basis at that point. But I'm working on a shoestring budget with what time I have. So right now, it is what it is. And the progress is slow, but it's steady. And it's coming each and every time I give an update. It's just I have to wait for pieces and parts to arrive, and then you have to wait for me to get the time to do the testing. And now apparently we've all got to wait for wind conditions to be good enough for me to do testing, because Pennsylvania is not that good for wind. So I guess I picked a pretty bad state to live in to develop a wind turbine project. Anyway, it's okay. All right, Michigan. A tiny one on a motorhome, 70-mile-per-hour wind. Yeah, I mean, a tiny one on a motorhome would be, in 70-mile-an-hour winds, you'd probably get something, useful off of that, sure. But what are you talking? When you're driving down the road, trying to capture that wind coming off of it? There's a lot of, I'm not really sure what you're asking there, so I'll wait to see if you clarify that a little bit more. Okay, next question that I've been getting. Why is it taking so long? Why aren't the results out there? People are saying this is a scam. If this was real, you'd have results. Guys, hello. I'm doing this on a shoestring budget by myself. My gracious wife is helping me whenever she can, but we both have full-time jobs. We're both doing this in our spare time. I had to worry about, doing all the patent and paperwork, getting all the crap and pieces and parts, and building, the machines behind me, fixing them up with a little $10,000 grant that I got from Ben Franklin last year. I had that little bit of money, that $10,000 seed grant, to help me jettison me forward with fixing up my machines, getting a few raw materials that I needed, and then starting to build from scratch Harmony. The unit that you've seen now in my 2 videos that I had it outside in pathetic wind, but I had it outside trying. I'm now at a part where charge controllers and generators are expensive stuff. I mean, a generator, I could spend $700 on a generator and it'd still not be the right one for what I need to test with this prototype. Apparently, some are set to run at higher RPMs and give out higher RPMs, which gives you higher voltage but lower amperage, and other ones are set to run at lower RPMs that give more amps but less voltage. And then you've got to couple that with the right charge controller. So it's this mind-numbing mix of science and art to get the right mix between charge controller and generator and given wind speeds and RPMs and all that stuff. It's crazy. So I'm working through it the best I can. I have 2 generators right now that work. I've got to build the mounting bracket, get probably a toothed pulley and a large and a small toothed pulley with a toothed belt, then to couple my white generator, which is over here. Here, I'll walk around with the camera a little bit and show you guys and give you a little quick tour of what I'm talking about. Sorry for the bumping around. I'm working on a big welding project here for storage that I need. So there's Harmony sitting here waiting, and there's the one generator that is a higher voltage, lower amperage generator from Missouri Wind and Solar that they sent me. There's the white generator that I have. That generator is now together, and it does produce power. And then my charge controller that I have, the charge controller over here, is waiting for this key to arrive from China that I ordered weeks ago. And this charge controller, once I have that key, I'll be able to unlock the charge controller and put power curves into it, saying at 20 volts, allow it to draw this many amps. At 25 volts, draw this many amps. At 28 volts, draw this many amps. So without the proper power curve, without the proper charge controller and generator configuration, a lot of things can go wrong there. And then you're outside trying to test with 2 gracious assistants like I was the other day, and the data is just crap. The whole experience is almost frustrating because you're out there and you're not even getting good data. So I don't want to do that and frustrate people anymore. I want to have good, properly sized and properly rated equipment so that when we go outside, we can actually get some good data. And that's really what I'm after. Hey, Jim, how's it going? No problem. I understand you just were popping in. That's cool. I like your micro hydro work that you're doing. And one of these days, when I get some time from Harmony, I will probably dabble with it. But I understand. I don't have a proper flowing stream through my property, so it would only be dabbling, it would only be playing that I do with that. And that's down the road. So I've got to stay focused on Harmony at this point. But thank you for stopping in. All right, Michigan, you were saying, okay. Right, maybe a tiny one on a boat for charging the battery when the boat is stationary, like out on the ocean or docked at a dock. Absolutely, Michigan. That has always been, even in my patent that I filed 1.5 years ago, that verbiage is in there. This would be for boats that are at the dock or at the slip. It would be for RV campers that they're at the campsite and you've got wind blowing. You would hook this up and it would allow you to recharge your batteries, both on your boat or in your RV. Absolutely. That's the whole point of the little small recreational one. The residential size would be what I consider the main thrust of where we want to go with a final product and where we want to start targeting from a marketing standpoint initially. I think it's a completely untapped market right now. You don't drive down the road and see people with vertical axis wind turbines or really any wind turbine on their house to speak of. You could drive past 10,000 houses and only see 1 or 2 out there because the choices that are out there now are very poor. They're expensive. They have incredibly long amount of time to get your money back on them. They don't last. They've got all kinds of problems. I'm looking to change that whole paradigm. I'm looking to change the way we think about residential wind power generation. All right, let me look at what thank you, Athi. That's awesome. I have already gotten feedback from a university overseas where they have put a little 3D printed version of Harmony in their wind tunnel. They've done testing on it, and in 3 and 4 meter per second winds. If you guys join my Facebook group, you'll actually see some of their results that they've posted in the group. Harmony was getting efficiencies over 50% coefficient of power, and that's unheard of. Now, that was only in 3 and 4 meter per second winds. They were getting over 50% coefficient of power. I'm not saying that they were correct. I'm not saying they didn't screw up the data, but if they were even partially right and Harmony is that incredibly efficient, this could be a game changer. This could be disruptive technology that you're all sitting here staring at and looking at for the first time before it ever goes public. Harmony could be the paradigm shift that we've all been waiting for in residential wind turbines. It's just, I'm doing it by myself. I'm doing it with little to no funding, and it's taking a long time to get out. I'm sorry that's the way it is, but until I get some more serious funding, it is going to be slow, and it is going to be laborious, and it is going to be frustrating. But I do love the fact that you're studying it, and it's inspiring you to do the Savonius VAWT type of studies that you're doing. So that's really cool. Lars, hello. Yeah, and Michigan, you would never want to run this turbine when you're driving down the road. I hope I didn't give you that impression, because the drag that you're going to put on your car engine or your truck engine as you're driving down the road would totally negate the point of charging while you're doing that. This would be for when you're sitting stationary, charging your battery or something like that, getting free wind, not wind you're paying for because you're driving down the road burning gasoline. So, Lars, I don't yet have a time to market plan because we're just now beginning the prototype testing phase. I just started 15 minutes ago in the video, was explaining how I'm getting charge controllers, getting generators, trying to find the right coupling and the right pairing for this prototype size. I just took the camera off the stand and took it around to show everyone where everything's at. But until we get some good solid numbers and performance data and know the efficiency that Harmony is, I really can't speak to anything at all from a manufacturing standpoint. I need funding. I need, realistically, to do something this big and this bold. Once we have efficiency numbers, and if it proves that Harmony is, probably anything above 20 or 25% efficient, I think it would take the market by storm. It honestly would, because we can use recycled plastic to make the scoops. We can use all kinds of off-the-shelf materials for both building the generators and doing everything from charge controllers to grid tie. There's no voodoo science here. It's all stuff that can be done right here, right now. There's no crazy exotic materials or carbon fiber materials that need to be incorporated into this. Yes, we could do that, but it's just going to drive the cost up. I think the furling technology is the key for what's going to make Harmony so very special here. So the time to market, I don't know yet. Until I get some serious funding and can quit my job and do this full time, I can't even begin to speculate. So in some ways, I'm waiting until we start getting data, or until someone comes forward and says, that's an incredible product that you have there. They can recognize it in its infancy stage where it's at and say, look, this needs to be funded properly. Yeah, then we're going to start seeing some magic happen. For right now, I'm just going to keep marching forward one step at a time, one day at a time, doing what I can with the time and resources that I have. So after having my physical model and some measurement, so Athi, you're talking about computational fluid dynamics right now. And sure, computational fluid dynamics would be amazing to take, but I think we need some physical measurements to act as a baseline for Harmony, because it's sort of breaking a lot of the known rules that are out there. So you can't just plug Harmony into a computational fluid dynamics program and get really accurate results until you've got some baseline numbers from the physical model. I believe that we have to have some baseline numbers from the physical model before we take it to CFD. And taking it to CFD is very expensive. I mean, unless you've got some CFD, facility somewhere that I don't know about, I can't afford to take it to CFD right now. I am planning on doing probably a GoFundMe. Guys, maybe you guys can help me. I've thought about doing a Kickstarter for a long, long time, but Kickstarter is built on, I give you a product of some kind. And I don't think Kickstarter would work because I don't want to waste the time making little gimmicky desktop models of Harmony and printing them up. And my God, I'd be printing them for a year and putting the little tiny ones together that get us no further down the road, really. I don't want to be doing that because no one's going to want to pay $8,000 for a Kickstarter. Am I wrong? Or $6,000 or even $5,000 for a Kickstarter. They might pay $1,000 for a Kickstarter, but not anything higher than that. So I don't know how the Kickstarter model would really work in this case. I don't think people would pay for, I even thought about this. If I do a Kickstarter, whatever you give me in the Kickstarter, $100, $1,000, or $500 would give you that plus 20% towards when we finally have, we're in production. So if you pay $1,000 for the Kickstarter, then it will give you $1,200 credit towards buying your own residential unit later down the road. I don't think that Kickstarter would be a successful campaign either. So in the end, I don't know what I would do in a Kickstarter that would really make people happy and be a successful campaign. The most successful campaigns I've seen with Kickstarter are where they have a product that's about $1,000 or less, 3D printers, that really cooler, like power cooler unit that you can take with you to parties and stuff. Like those things have gone really, really well because it's a product that's priced right for Kickstarter and people are paying for that actual unit. So they're manufacturing the actual unit. In my case, I can't charge you the thousands of dollars that it would take to get Harmony out the door because no one's going to want to pay that on a Kickstarter. At least I don't believe that. My budget need for the next phases. Ooh, Lars. I would need several $100,000 just to quit my job and have a little security for the next 3 years. So like to be able to quit my job for the next 2 years and have some security and have some funds to keep working on Harmony, I'd probably need $300,000 to $400,000 just by myself to do that. Just to quit my full-time job and be doing this with a little bit of a security buffer so that I could keep going. Without that, I can't even quit my job. And that's like bare bones at that point. So that would just be enough to get me out of my job and get me a little bit of funds to start doing this. To have proper funding, you'd probably need to be up in the $1 to $2 million range that I could have a small crew, 3 or 4 people helping me, some engineers, get some machining equipment, some CNC stuff in, get some proper design engineers and manufacturing people with good fabrication abilities. And then we start putting maybe 3 or 4 units together for actual duplicatable results and testing in real locations for units that are truly weatherproof. But all of that, I would really save all that time and money until we get the true initial results from Harmony, because we need to get this prototype's performance numbers before we go to the next stage. We need to get some wind tunnel testing. We need to get out there and really see what the efficiency is of Harmony. I think you were on when I was saying overseas, they were getting efficiencies on the little 3D printed units that they have over 50% coefficient of power. It's insane. If Harmony is anywhere even close to 25% or higher, then this is disruptive technology that I'm sitting here right next to right now. And it's going to redefine the market, the residential market, given the right, if someone doesn't take it and steal the technology and run away with it and, corrupt it and give it a bad name or something, like, it happens sometimes with the Chinese market. They go and grab stuff and then start producing a really bad version of it and give that product a bad name before you even get it out the door. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But does that answer your question, Lars, about, budgetary needs for the next phase are pretty nebulous at this point because I'm still trying to get those numbers. Hi, Mark. How are you? Thank you for sticking around with me for the, last 18 months or last year that you've been around. I know you've been one of the longtime people hanging with us. Sorry, my train whistle is going off in the background there, guys. All right. I guess the final thing, if I can't get time with a wind tunnel facility like Penn State, wind facility or something like that, then I'm going to have to improvise. I'm going to have to find some other, something like this guy down in the next town over who has an airboat and set up out in the parking lot. We'd, mount that airboat and lock it down on a trailer or something, lock it down really securely, and then we can ramp it up to 10-mile-an-hour winds, 15-mile-an-hour winds, 20-mile-an-hour winds, and then Harmony would be 20 or 30 feet away, and we'd be able to get reasonably good data and get some performance numbers off of it. But I cannot get good numbers right now over in my driveway or across the street at the neighbor's house because it's just the wind is terrible here. And even if we get gusting winds like we had 2 weeks ago when I had 2 volunteers out here helping me, the gusts last, I'm not joking, guys, for 3 or 4 seconds. Just as it begins spinning up to speed and we're all getting like excited, ooh, it's gone, then it's done. That quick. The wind is done and it's horrible. So, Lars, you don't have to apologize for your financial questions. I'm just, it's a tough one because I'm an inventor right now in need of funding because I have an amazing product here, but I can't prove to the world that it's an amazing product until I get some funding or at least have the time to sit here one step at a time and get to the point where it begins proving itself out. I think we're really close to that happening, but close could still be months away at the pace that I'm going, unfortunately. Right, I do agree. I need to get this product out before someone steals it. And I'd love to quit my job tomorrow and work on this 100% of the time that I have, because I wouldn't even sleep at night. Every time I go to bed at night, I dream about new ways to improve it, new ways to make it better, new ways to fix this problem or that problem. But when you don't have the funding or the time, or you're waiting for things to arrive from China, just to try and get numbers. And then even if I had the perfect generator and perfect charge controller and all the pieces in place to get the data, we still wouldn't have the wind. I can't make the wind blow. So then I still have to come up with a wind tunnel facility or like I said, some airboat motor that I, rent or even buy. I mean, my God, I'd buy one and stick it out in my backyard and we do the testing. I don't care. It's just all this stuff takes money, more money than I have right now. So I'm stuck and I'm working through the problems a step at a time. So I'm doing this live stream to chat with people, talk to people, maybe get some people excited. The preliminary data coming back is that Harmony could be game changing, but until I can prove that, until I can see that for myself and actually see those numbers, I'm not going to sit there and get behind numbers from a university over across the ocean. I'm not saying that they have done anything incorrectly or that their data is invalid. I'm just saying I can't get behind those numbers until I see it for myself. I'd love to, but I can't right now. Well, where do you live, Lars? Maybe I would come over to your house. No, Mark, I haven't yet gotten the software key. I ordered it weeks ago. It was supposed to be here on the 7th. It is now, the 8th today? It's the 9th today. So because of Amazon's policy, if I don't get it by the 13th now, I can get that $60 or $70 that I paid for it back. I guess they refund it to me. But the thing is coming from China for the past couple weeks now, and I've just been patiently waiting for it. I am looking at getting perhaps a Midnight Solar Classic charge controller as well. From what I hear, and maybe some of you guys out there have experience with them, these are already programmable. You can already put your power curve into them and do what you need to do without having some crazy software key like this one that I have. So maybe by the end of this month, I'll have both a Midnight Solar charge controller and I'll have this one that I have now, both capable of gathering data. And then that would give me 2 generators and 2 charge controllers, which is great. But no, I'm still waiting on some pieces and parts and just sitting here patiently waiting for that stuff to come. So yeah, Midnight Solar, from everything I hear, Midnight Solar Classic is what I want to get. But I'm still questioning whether I've got the right generator to really couple with Harmony, because I'm calculating in 10 meter per second winds. That would be about 20 mile an hour winds. I would only be getting about 100 RPM off of Harmony. And 100 RPM is pretty low speed. So I'd rather not deal with a toothed pulley and, taking it 4-to-1 or 5-to-1 up to a generator to, every 100 revolutions on Harmony would be 500 at the generator. I'd rather not do that if I can avoid it, but I may be forced to, because the existing technology out there right now may not be set to run at 100 stinking RPM. 100 RPM is like, you wouldn't even generate 2 watts of power at 100 RPM with most generators. Let me look at what Lars is saying here. Thank you, Lars. I would love to go over to Denmark or Sweden, where you live. Maybe one of these days when Harmony's off the ground and a really world-renowned product, then I would be welcome to come over there and cut the ribbon on some inaugural setups of Harmony. Maybe they'll have upscaled the technology to village size or something. I don't think I want to make them 300 feet tall. I think that just, even something as beautiful as Harmony is, I think when you get too big, it starts getting ugly at some point. It starts detracting from the natural environment around it. So my hope would be that we keep Harmony small enough that it's still beautiful, it's still a work of art to look at, and not some behemoth looming over a city. So we'll see. At this point, I'm only worrying about residential size, and I'm not worrying about anything larger than that. So I'm not even thinking about getting something that's hundreds of feet tall or hundreds of feet wide at this point. Okay. How long have I been talking? I've been yammering for 42, 45 minutes. Guys, what questions do you have? I've answered some of the main questions. People are, I won't say attacking, but in some cases, people watch that very, very first video and they attack me saying, oh, that's BS. Those, that's old technology you show where those wind turbines are catching on fire and blowing up. Maybe it is old technology. Who cares? I wasn't trying to say this is the bad technology and mine is the good technology. I was just trying to say, hey guys, here's our current technology and it probably has some issues. So maybe there's a better way. That's all I was saying. I wasn't saying that all of it's bad, because it's not. It's just maybe we can think of some better ways to do things. And with Harmony, you're not going to be killing birds, because those birds are killed when they're flying forward. They're looking ahead and they're looking down. And those wind turbine blades coming from out of nowhere, because they're moving at like almost the speed of sound in some cases, come from out of nowhere and hit them on the back or on the top of the head out of nowhere in the blink of an eye. That's what's killing those birds. This, with Harmony, even if you did make it 300 feet big, they would be seeing it directly in front of them, spinning. And that thing spinning in front of them would say, ooh, I need to fly around this thing. So it wouldn't be killing birds. No matter how big it was, it wouldn't be killing birds any more than your house or your barn would kill birds. Do some birds fly into your house every year? Sure. A house would pose no more or no less of an obstacle than Harmony would, is what I'm trying to say. So Harmony is not going to kill birds because the whole implementation of how it is spinning in front of them would be a signal for the birds to fly around it. Where the current wind turbines, when they're spinning, that blade is coming in from the top where they're not looking and whacking them on top. In a blink of an eye, it's happening. So that's why they're killing birds that are soaring around up at the blades. Harmony would not be doing that because it's spinning in front of them where they're looking. They're actually looking and in that direction. What else did people attack me by? Well, I've already said they attack me because they say, oh, well, you know, this is crap. You've got no generator hooked up to it. Well, no kidding. Some of the, you know, work that I did for the first 16 months, I didn't have a generator hooked up to it. I was getting there. I was getting to the point where I now have generators hooked up to it, but I wasn't at the point where I could hook a generator up to it. So now that I am, you'll start seeing that data. It doesn't mean this project was fake or it was bogus. It just means that I hadn't gotten there yet. And I think people in the instant gratification world that we live in today don't quite comprehend that. So, you know, it takes time to do this stuff, time and money. If my data turns out great, then I'd have a great market, which you can target depending on markets. Yeah, I mean, Lars, absolutely. One of the cool things is early on, a year ago, a representative from the Peace Corps actually contacted me because of typhoons in the Philippines. They wanted to look at hooking my Harmony wind turbine scoops, not the generator portion, but just the scoops up to physical water pumps. Because if Harmony can, in fact, furl down to whatever state is needed to continue spinning right on through that typhoon or right on through that hurricane, then they could continue pumping water where all other mechanisms of pumping that water would have been shut down. Harmony doesn't care about rain at all. In fact, the rain would probably help drive it even better. Snow and ice would be a problem for the gearing, but not rain. And as long as it's made out of durable enough materials, you know, you have to consider maybe getting into carbon fiber to withstand typhoons. But once you're making it out of strong enough materials that it can withstand those winds, all it's got to do is furl down tight enough that it's still spinning at its top rated speed, but it's spinning nonetheless, and it's spinning right on through that typhoon or right on through that hurricane. If you stop, and if you would totally furl down to a closed state, now your shaft is getting that onslaught in one direction only. By continuing to spin, even if we're 10% open or 5% opened, you're continuing to spin. Now you're distributing that force from that typhoon or hurricane across a spinning shaft. And when you have a spinning shaft, it's going to deflect that load and distribute that load across a spinning target, which would be far less likely to fail, in my opinion, than one that's sitting still and getting buffeted from one side only. You know, you're going to fatigue that shaft at some point if the winds are strong enough. So I think you'd have a better chance for Harmony to do exactly what it's supposed to do. Keep right on spinning right through that typhoon or hurricane. And in the case of the Philippines or some place like that, pumping water and saving lives. That would be amazing. I mean, can you imagine the news when they're out there in the hurricanes and the people are like barely able to stand up and you see the Harmony wind turbines spinning by the dozens, just sitting there spinning and pumping water like crazy? Because I mean, in those kind of winds, you'd have, you know, as much horsepower as you wanted, depending on the size that they were. So that's where I think the magic is going to come in, when we start seeing this furling capability for what it is. Right now, people don't understand this furling capability. I wrote up a really interesting article, not an article, but a comment back to someone who was doing mathematical equations on, you know, the size of Harmony and coming up with power quotations and everything. And all of his numbers were spot on, except he was only considering 100% open. And I said, here's where the magic comes into play. When you have an ice skater spinning on the ice and they pull their arms in, if you've ever seen that on the Olympics and stuff like that, they begin to go faster and faster and faster. That's because the circumference of a circle, as you draw it in, can go faster and faster and faster for a given input of power, such as wind or the, whatever the rotational torque of a spinning ice skater is on the ice. That's what's going to happen with Harmony. I think in a 10 meter per second wind, it is not going to be the most efficient to stay 100% open. I think we're going to find that at some point when you pull those arms in, you're going to find a sweet spot where by pulling them in, you're decreasing the circumference of that circle, which is going to increase your RPMs. That will increase your amperage and your voltage and allow you to, at the same time, well, I already said spin faster. So I don't think it's going to be 100% open gives you the best results all the time. I think it's going to be a little bit drawn in. I don't know what that is, but I think that amount that you draw the arms in is going to be different for each wind speed. There's probably going to be a curve that we can plot once we get into wind tunnel testing and we're like, holy crap, in 10 meter per second winds, we're at maximum efficiency when we're only 87% open. And in, 15 meter per second wind, we're at max efficiency when we're just 82% open or something like that. That would be so amazing, because what that would mean is we're getting higher efficiency by decreasing our circumference and increasing our RPMs, increasing the voltage and amperage. So the efficiency of Harmony would go through the roof, because when you look at your efficiency of a vertical axis wind turbine, you have to take your width times your height. Right now, Harmony is 4 feet tall by 4 feet wide when it's 100% open. But if you find that in 10 meter per second wind, by drawing your arms in a little bit, you're more efficient, that you're making more amperage, you've also now, here's the key guys, you've also now decreased the width of Harmony, which now makes your coefficient of power even higher. So when you do the calculations on your coefficient of power, it goes up. Not only are you making more amperage and more voltage because you've started spinning faster, but now you've decreased your width. And so that coefficient of power calculation would go up as well. So you're making more power, and those are going in the right direction to make your coefficient of power go up. And you've decreased the circumference of Harmony, which further pushes the coefficient of power up. This could be a game changer. I don't know how many times I have to say that to people. I don't think people quite understand the impact of the furling capability with Harmony. Yes, there's horizontal axis wind turbines out there that can change the pitch of their blades, but there is none that I know of, other than Harmony, that can decrease its circumference. And when you decrease your circumference of something like this vertical axis wind turbine, now you are directly affecting that coefficient of power calculation. So, Lars, the business plan, sure, the business plan is let's get good data, let's build a small company and start making these to where we can get 3 or 4 or 5 of them out at test facilities around the state, or maybe in a couple neighboring states, get good verification of the data and performance in those given conditions. And then from that point, if the data is as good as we think it's going to be, and it proves to be a highly efficient turbine, the investors are going to come knocking. They're going to come in droves at that point. So I won't need to have some crazy business model to grow this all from grassroots organically. I'm going to have the funding coming in to then be able to take this to the next level, where we can have 4 and 5 and 6 manufacturing facilities making these and getting these out to the public. I want to get them out to you, to your neighbors, to your parents, to your family. I want to help change your lives and make them better, giving you a product that lasts, that gives you a product that gives you good returns on your initial investment. And, in a matter of just 5 years, pays you back for that initial investment because of savings on your electric bill. I've written up marketing plans for things like Ben Franklin and stuff like that, but those are all pretty much built around how do you, Chris Moore, want to grow this company from just you to, making hundreds of units a week for production. And that's a little bit beyond the scope of where we're at right now, because I'm not a business guy. I'm not a guy who sits there and foresees all this stuff and starts doing those plans and everything. If you're one of those type of people that can do that, hey, let's talk. Let's, get you to help in this initial capacity and make those marketing plans. If you think that's going to help with this, that would be great. And you've got a job when we finally have a company that's got the capability to hire you. If you have that type of a mentality, Lars, that you can throw those numbers together and, do that kind of business plan from the state where we're at now, then let's talk. I put my email address at the very top. Send me an email and let's talk. Let me see what Mark's saying. Have I looked? Oh, Mark, so far, everything that we've seen with Harmony it's like zero noise. Now, again, I haven't been in great wind because the wind is crappy, but we have been in small gusts where it gets up to 8 and 9 meter per second, maybe even 10 meter per second wind, but that's it. That's all I've ever had Harmony in. And it's only been for a few seconds, but I've never heard it make a peep, not a single noise. And I think that whirring noise that you hear with the horizontal wind turbines, they're hearing that noise at even 5 and 6 meter per second. Harmony appears to be like completely silent all the way up so far into 10 meter per second. Not a single peep out of it. It's, people on the one video were like, man, that's noisy. That's the wind they were, I was videoing that with my camera, and that's just the wind they heard blowing. It's not Harmony making any noise. The only noise it makes is when my silly little drill is furling and unfurling. But once we have a proper a servo motor on there to drive the furling and unfurling, that too would be virtually silent. Yeah, I guess, I hadn't really thought of the low noise being a selling point, but sure, we'll take anything we can get at this point. Yes, I have Harmony patented. In fact, all right, I'll tell you guys, it's searchable. You can actually find it now. You can find it on Google. So it was, when you file a provisional patent, it's hidden for a long time, but it's out there now. Just in the US, I've just done the US Patent and Trademark Office so far because I don't have the money and funds to go and do it in other countries, but so far just the US. I was hoping to be further along with development that we could then afford to do the other patents in the other countries, but it is patent pending in the US. So Lars, what do you do for a living? You're asking all these business-oriented questions and investment questions. Please tell me you're some guy with like millions of dollars at your command. I'm kind of joking, but kind of not, because at this point I am looking for some really cool connection like that would take this to the next level in a heartbeat. If I had someone who really could see the potential here of what Harmony is and had, funds at their disposal, that they were looking for someone who's an honest, true-hearted person making good, solid work to, help make our world a better place, that's a match made in heaven at that point. Okay, well, that's fair enough, Lars. I haven't heard of you before. I haven't seen any of your comments on the videos, so if tonight was your first time joining, then welcome. Guys, are there any other questions? I know there's only a few of you watching, so you have my full attention and you're not competing with hundreds of other people. Like, maybe a few months down the road when we're on Fox News and ABC News and all these news channels because we're starting to get this amazing product and get really high efficiency that's blowing the socks off of the industry, then, you're going to look back and be like, God, I was talking to that guy and never even asked him this question. Now I can't even get in touch with him because he's too busy with all these other big things going on. So here's your chance. You've got my undivided attention. I'm still a little tiny peon out there doing work all by myself before we've turned into something huge. Okay, Lars, fair enough. I do feel like, I know this sounds crazy, but I do feel like we're on the cusp of this going absolutely enormous. I think it's just literally the few silent months, the few dark, scary months before the real data starts proving out to be absolutely phenomenal. And once that happens, it'll be like, you know, the jack in the box is out, and there's not going to be anything we can do to put that, you know, I won't say it's not a monster by any means, to put that that back in the box. It'll just be absolutely viral and phenomenal. I did post a video. I never even had a TikTok account in my life, and I posted a video on TikTok a couple weeks ago. Just one little video, 60-second clip on TikTok, and it went like, my one friend couldn't believe that it got, I don't know what it was, not 200,000, 150,000 views in one day of people looking at this. And I'm like, they're all watching cat videos and stuff like that, but they took the time to watch this wind turbine, and tons and tons of feedback. So it was pretty interesting. I think the world is hungry for a change like this, something meaningful, something down to earth, something they can get behind. Until we have good numbers to show that, we're just sort of in that dormancy stage, or that infancy stage, or that, you know, we're like the butterfly in the cocoon right now. And I feel like that's sort of where we're at. It's just right before, you know, the dawn before everything begins to blossom, to come to fruition, to change the world in a better way. And here's another crazy thing. This is invention number one. Well, I won't say it's number one, but it is one of like 85 inventions that I have. I had to pick one thing that I could take through the whole patent process, try and take it all the way through marketing and getting a company formed. But creating more is not going to be a wind turbine company. This is just one product out of a whole slew of other things that I want to develop. And it's insane to me how, you know, it takes money and it takes time to develop this stuff. So I've been sitting on all this technology, all these ideas, waiting to develop them. My biggest fear is that I get hit by a truck or get killed one day, and all of those amazing ideas die with me. I don't want that to happen. I'm not worried about me, you know, dying in and of itself doesn't scare me. It's a natural part of life. But dying and letting all that technology, all that stuff that could help us evolve, is what scares me. It's like this calling that you have deep inside your soul and in your bones to help make the world a better place, and not being able to fulfill that, not being able to do that, is scary to me. It's like not fulfilling your destiny in a way. And that's what I don't like. So I'm hoping that this is right on the cusp of some really amazing stuff happening, and we'll see. Okay, I'm going to sign off now because my throat's starting to get a little bit raw from talking, and we're only 6 people watching, so I don't think it's a big deal signing off at this point. Should I do more live streams? I don't know. I did a few of them a while back, and I'm not sure that they were really amazing or really bad. I don't know. Maybe they're just sort of neutral. Would it be better if I scheduled them in the future so that people can plan on watching them? I'm not really sure. I'm so new to this whole social media and YouTube stuff that I never quite know what the secret sauce is. So give me your feedback and let me know. Mark, yes, please, more live streams. Mark, aren't you, am I confusing you with the other guy? Isn't it like 2 a.m. your time? Someone that's always on here, it's like Yeah, so it's like 2 in the morning. What are you doing up, Mark? You're awful. Your wife's gonna hate you. All right, it's 12:30, not too bad, but you need to get to bed. Oh, guys, I don't know how to say enough that I'm trying my best. I'm working as fast as I can with what I have in front of me right now. It's just, it's a slow, arduous process. And right now I'm in a very difficult time with getting charge controllers and getting generators and getting them coupled together in a fashion that's going to give us good usable data. And then, holy crap, then we have to find wind on top of that somehow, some way, whether that's a wind tunnel facility or some dude with an airboat somewhere, or behind a Cessna plane on a runway, and I slip them $200 to throttle the engines up and down for the next 2 hours. I don't know. It sounds crazy, but when you don't have good wind in your area, I don't know what other choices I'd have. Long ago, I joked about putting it on a trailer on the back of my pickup truck and driving down the road, but there is no freaking way, no way, no way, no way that I can do that. I don't want to be driving down the road and hit a bumper, a pothole the wrong way, and whoop, I just kill 18 months of work, or, some strap comes loose and it goes flying off of the back of the truck or the trailer, and that would just be a nightmare. So no, it's going to be tied down and stationary wherever I do the testing, and safe, and we'll bring the fan to it or bring it to the fan or something like that, but we're not driving down the road with it. Oh man. Well, Lars, thank you for sticking in. If it's 1:30 a.m., you're crazy too. Holy cow. I'm sorry, Mark. Well, get to bed, get to sleep. I don't know. I think I'm going to sign off here because really there's not anything else I can think of to talk about. Just trying to, keep myself busy and waiting for pieces and parts to arrive. And, until that happens and until I can find a wind tunnel facility, or even if I have a wind tunnel facility, I have no clue what it costs to rent a wind tunnel facility for 5 or 6 hours. That's probably some crazy, insane amount of money. I don't know, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you very much for the dedication and your support. And if you have further questions, email me. But for now, signing off from Creating More and Harmony Vertical Axis Wind Turbine. Patreon. I always forget Patreon. Patreon.com/creating more. That is our Patreon page. So you can go there if you want to help support through Patreon. That would be great. I may possibly do a GoFundMe account and get that up and running, but I don't know. We'll see, guys. We'll see at this point. Good night, Lars. Thank you for sticking up with us. 1:30 a.m. Holy cow. Doug, hopefully you were here and heard most of what I was saying, Doug. Have a good night. Athi. Yeah, maybe I'll try and do a live stream more often. I guess I always think that they're silly if I don't have much to put out, but you guys are probably just like sitting there biting your nails waiting for something, and at least having a chance to converse and talk is better than no news, as we're waiting for pieces and parts to arrive and some way to find a wind tunnel facility or a place to get wind from. Yeah, I don't know. We'll take it a step at a time. All right, take care, guys. Peace out.